time for another update. Today we're going to be talking about discernment and how to discern, both regarding somebody else and their motives, and based on what is in your highest good. And we're taking this from the Dancing with the Dark, the fifth key of compassion. All right, so the reason I want to tell you about the reason I decided on this topic today is because we now entered this time when we are faced with some major decisions in our world, both on a political front, an economic front, a spiritual front, and we're not quite sure what it is, or how to decide, how to discern what is in our highest good so that we can make a great choice. So I wanted to go over with you guys the components, or the steps or process of discernment, because we've been taught to just blindly trust. That's what society teaches us. Listen to your elders, they know it's good for you. Listen to your government, you know it's good for you. Listen to the powers that be, the authority figures. And in church, we've basically been taught to blindly follow whatever we're taught, and not to question the doctrine or the motives. So I decided that's the reason I decided to do this video. And it's something I had to learn as well, because I was another one of those who who just believed what I was told. Well, why would they not tell me the truth? So I think that this would be a good time to just refresh our memories about how to use the power of discernment. Okay, the number one thing about discernment when you're dealing with somebody else is to always ask, what's their need? If you can define what their need is, then you can determine their motive, because their motives are always going to be around getting their need met. So when you're looking at your presidential candidates, when you're looking at this big bailout, you always ask the question, what are the needs? What are they trying to accomplish for themselves? Because ultimately, this is something that Jonathan used to say to me over and over again, my husband. He would say, people always do stuff that will serve their best interest. Even if it's philanthropic, they're always satisfying something for themselves. Even if it's just to feel good about themselves, that is a need that they are trying to satisfy. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. We should give, we should receive. When we give in a way that satisfies a need, we feel good, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is the highest use of the law of giving and receiving. But when we give with the idea of manipulating somebody so that we can receive what we want in a not forthright manner, is that unforthright manner? Then it's not a cool thing. It's a misuse of that law. Okay, so so that's number one. Number two, once you decide what the need is, then you have to ask yourself, what are the consequences of fulfilling that need? Either for yourself, well, this is mainly for yourself, but also regarding the other person. What would be what would happen if they fulfilled that need? Because once you can determine what would be the possible outcome of the need being fulfilled, you can decide whether or not you're willing to go for it. It's what we call the bullshit detector, looking for the need, discerning the need. And when it comes to yourself, if you can ask yourself, what would be the outcome if I do this? Then you can decide whether or not fulfilling that need at that time is a good idea. Now then there's another piece. What would be the consequences if I fulfill this need right now? And there are events going on in our world right now, and in the spiritual and UFO community, that really require us to look at that. What will be the consequences if we fulfill a need that so many people are desiring right now? If you can be honest about the consequences and decide that whether you're willing to risk the consequences or not, you are in a much better position to discern. So I think that's about it regarding discernment. If you can just apply those 3 steps: what's the need, what's the the objective is to get the need met. So you got to figure out what are they wanting. So that means looking at the person and going, okay, what do they want out of this? See, we were never taught to do that. We were always taught to trust until they gave us a reason not to. But it's not that you're not trusting, it's that what you're doing is you're learning to trust people based on what they will and won't do. It's not blind trust, it's informed trust. So that's number 1. So I'm recapping. Number 2 is, what's the objective? And when you discover the objective, which is to get the need met, then you ask, okay, what will be the outcome if this is fulfilled, if they get their need met, or I get my need met? And then finally, what are the consequences of getting that need met? Because consequences are a little bit different than an outcome. And just taking the the bailout situation, okay, the outcome is that all these banks would be funded, but what are the consequences of that? Well, hyperinflation. The Fed is cranking up the printing presses as we speak and printing out all this money, which means it's going to get to the point where a loaf of bread is $5, or things will start going up in price again. So that is the consequences. And taking another example, this supposed sighting, which if it happens, I will not be joyful about it, because the consequences are far-reaching. It could create major chaos, and ultimately it could lead to martial law in the United States as it flips people out. Yeah, a lot of people are out there going, oh, I'm so excited that they're finally going to show that will prove to my family that UFOs do exist. It will prove to these people it will exist. Okay, that's your need, but is that in your highest good? Because look at the consequences. It could be some major chaos, and it's in major times of chaos that the ones who really want to control you will step in to resolve the situation. And when you're in chaos and in fear, you won't you won't use discernment. You'll just go for whoever can fix it the fastest. So think about that as you go through the days ahead, because there's going to be many more of these challenges happening between now and 2012. And if you can use this tool of discernment, you will get through them a lot better. Take care. Bye-bye.